welcome back to my Transformers animated episode reviews. Today, we're taking a look at the episode 5 Servos of Doom. In this episode, Lockdown returns once again to help hunt down Starscream clones, and we learn of Prowl's past prior to joining Optimus's team. We begin this episode with the Autobots on the hunt for a Decepticon. Hunt for the Decepticons. You know, that would make a good name for a Transformers toy line, Hasbro.
Psych! You guys should see the looks on your faceplates!
Sentinel? You captured Starscream?
For one thing, that's Sunstorm there, Prowl. Although, I can forgive you since they never actually gave the clones names in the show. And two, seriously? Sentinel caught a Decepticon? Sentinel couldn't catch a cold. Well, I guess he literally couldn't do that either, because he's a robot, not due to his ineptitude. Then maybe whatever the Cybertronian equivalent is of a cold. A virus, or cosmic rust, or something like that. So they take Sunstorm back to the Elite Guard ship.
You got Swindle and Blitzwing too?
I bet he has a Charizard and a Mewtwo as well. Back at the Autobot base, Optimus goes through helmets to try and figure out who it was that he saw.
No, but that's getting closer. That's not it. That's it.
Are you certain that's the helmet you saw?
Absolutely.
No, but seriously, turns out the helmet belongs to Yoketron, Prowl's old mentor, played by George Takei.
Oh my.
Yoketron is actually named after Yoke-san, Takara's former lead designer on Transformers. Seriously, this man is an absolute legend. He's been working on Transformers since before they were even Transformers. From Diaclone all the way up until he retired in 2017. So, in a flashback, we see Prowl being brought to Yoketron's dojo by Warpath.
I believe I can take it from here.
Prowl. Lousy draft dodging piece, Nick.
Yoketron shows the mouthy young Prowl what's for. By the way, I love Prowl's Cybertronian bike mode. It's so sexy. Also, is it just me? Or do the windows in Yoketron's dojo look like the one in Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum? I'm guessing there's probably some common influence that I'm not getting.
You can start by cleaning up this mess.
I wonder if this is Yoketron's version of wax on, wax off.
Wax on, wax off, wax on,
Mouth off.
You have skills, young one, and great potential. But you must develop the first to fulfill the second.
Wait! Without my gear, I'm nothing!
If you're nothing without this suit, then you shouldn't have it, okay?
Back in current time, Prowl and Jazz suspect that something is up. So they follow Sentinel, but he somehow manages to disappear, only to reappear back at his ship, having somehow captured Lugnut. And Prowl begins to put the pieces together.
This Starscream is missing his blasters. Blitzwing is missing his cannons. Only one bot I know takes his victim's primary modifications.
Back in the past, Prowl completes his Cyber Ninja training, and Master Yoketron bestows upon him his signature shurikens. He then leads him into a room showing holographic busts of other Cyber Ninja masters. From right to left, these are Star Upper, who was actually an original character created for Beast Wars 2nd. Heavy Load, based on the build team member from the original Robots in Disguise. We then have Jazz himself, followed by Dia Atlas, the leader of the Autobots in Transformers Zone. Then there's Yoketron, who, as we've covered, is featured in this episode. Then we have DevCon, who, as we saw in my G1 Retro review a couple weeks ago, is of course from the original Transformers series, and is an Autobot bounty hunter. Then Sky Gary, who is Star Convoy's right-hand bot, and actually the basis for Shattered Glass animated Starscream's color scheme. Next to him is a darkened pedestal, which we'll cover later. And the final one is Springer, who, of course, is from G1, and you should be very familiar with him if you've watched the G1 movie.
Is that space for...
A former student who brought shame to the Cyber Ninja Corps.
When the camera angle changes, we can actually see more busts lining the walls. Grandus, Motor Arm, Road Handler, Ultra Magnus, Tap Out, Kickoff, Star Saber, and Road Rocket. While there's certainly a lot of cool cameos here, I do wish that this flashback didn't have this kind of hazy effect on it, so we could get a better look at all of these. Yokai-Tron shows Prowl their mission here, to guard the protoforms, which kind of sounds like they're running a daycare. Back in the current time, Prowl overhears Sentinel talking to someone, and he follows him to Tigatron Stadium. Obviously a nod to Tigatron from Beast Wars, as well as probably the Detroit Tigers baseball team. At the stadium, Prowl discovers that Sentinel has Lockdown working for him, and he is wearing Yokai-Tron's old helmet. But Lockdown double-crosses Sentinel, and he reveals that he was Yokai-Tron's former student, who stole the protoforms and gravely injured Master Yokai-Tron. Prowl attempts to save Yokai-Tron by transferring his spark, in a very Matrix-like container, to a blank protoform body. But sadly, Yokai-Tron's spark fades away anyways. Lockdown captures Prowl and plans to steal his upgrades. But Prowl turns the tables and uses his processor over matter ability to escape and don the reproduction of his samurai sidecar armor. The other Autobots fight Ramjet, who they eventually capture, but Lockdown escapes, never to be seen again in this series. The Autobots finally get their communications operational again, and David K talks to himself as Cliffjumper and Optimus Prime catch each other up on what's been happening on Cybertron and Earth.
There are more important things happening on Cybertron than your little power trip, Sentinel. But when the smoke clears, you and I, we're gonna have it out.
Unfortunately, this series ends before we get to see that. And we end this episode with Jazz and Prowl in his room, trimming his tree like a bonsai tree. Well, this was a great episode of Transformers Animated. This episode had some serious Avatar The Last Airbender vibes to it. Maybe it was all the Asian influences or something? But Yokai-Tron really reminded me of Uncle Iroh for some reason. I like how they used Yokai-Tron's helmet to hide Lockdown's identity. And it was really interesting how it was he who stole the protoforms for the Decepticons, as they are the same ones that Starscream used to create his clones. I wonder what Megatron's plan was for them, aside from, of course, bolstering his own army. Why didn't he use them sooner? Maybe it's because he was lacking the Allspark, and that was the real reason why he wanted it. Well, what about you? What did you think of this episode of Transformers Animated? As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and do all that other fun stuff. And I'll see you here next week for the next episode of Transformers Animated, Predacons Rising. Not to be confused with the Transformers Prime finale movie of the same name. That's still a ways off. So, see you here next week for that. The animated one, not the Prime one.